Hey guys, it's Mary Kalbach, and it's Wednesday, which means our tool of the week. Our tool of the week for getting ourselves balanced out and living a more balanced, emotionally kind of stable life. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Mary Kalbach. I am a life balance coach who works with intuitive visionaries, helping you figure out what is that vision and how do I push the start button on making it happen. Hey, Kelly. So on Wednesdays, what I like to do is bring you some kind of tool. So today, what I wanted to bring you was a book. And I just have working my way very quickly through this book right here. The title of it, and I know it's backwards, I apologize, is Hardwiring Happiness, written by Rick Hanson, Hanson. I got it off of Amazon. He does have his own website with some resources related to this book. So here's the thing about this book. Hi Maggie, thanks for joining me. Here's the thing about this book. This book for me is a bridge in the work that I do with myself and with other people. So you hear me talk a lot if you listen to my videos or you read my blog posts or whatever. You hear me talk a lot about kind of the damage that gets done and the scripts that get written over top of what our gifts and our passions and our vision are. And so I try to give you guys different tools to uncover, to kind of break down those scripts and uncover your gifts and your passions and walk in your vision. And that's what I'm all about here. So for a long time now, it's been apparent to me that it's not enough to just kind of strip those scripts away, right? Those old scripts of I'm not useless, I'm not useless, you aren't useless, of I'm not good enough, of I am useless, of I can't do this, I don't have enough money, whatever, you know, whatever the scripts are that you have written. I'm always trying to help you find ways to get rid of that and to shed that. So the thing is, it's not enough just to shed that, right? You can uncover your gifts and your passions, but sometimes we're left sort of frustrated and confused, right? So I've got some healing. I've come to this new understanding of myself. I understand my value and my worth, but I still have these old kind of habits that kick in. I still have these old thought patterns that run around in my brain. I still have these old things that I can't quite unload so that I can move forward and so that I can live the opposite life, right? So before we heal from those scripts, before we unleash those scripts and lift them off of our life, we can tend to feel kind of down, anxious, depressed, whatever. You know, we have these kinds of negative patterns in our life. And it takes a lot to turn that negative pattern around into a positive pattern. There has to be a way to do it. So what I know about those negative patterns is it's not as simple as just like making an affirmation, just saying, oh yay, I'm great, I'm amazing, and then all of a sudden you feel great and amazing, right? It's harder than that. And that is because scientifically what we know about the brain and the body is that you have neural pathways that have been forged with those scripts in them, right? So it's like, if it's like an old dirt road that has the ruts deeply rutted in every time somebody drives down it in the mud. So that's all the muck and the mud and the mire of what's going on inside of you. We've got all these ruts, okay? So now maybe we found a new road and we're not driving those old ruts, but how do we drive in a new pathway that now says, oh, I can be joyful, I can be content, I can be happy, I can be successful, I can be pleasant, I can be kind, you know, I can be all these things that are the flip side of what I have been because I've been influenced. I've been driving that dirty, muddy road with those old ruts, right? How do we find that new pathway to this exciting, really kind of new and life-giving and high energy, high vibrational energy life that we want to live? And so I've been looking for what is that source that helps me, that can help me, that can help me help you guys to fill that out. And this book is it. I'm so excited about this book because everything that I teach or talk about, the way your brain is wired, what the stuff does to your body, Physiologically, this book is doing the opposite of that. So it's still saying this is how your brain is wired, but now it's saying you can wire your brain for happiness. You can wire your brain for joy. You can bring in these new experiences. And his premise is that we get stuck in this negativity as kind of an evolutionary survival thing, and that is true. Like, we get stuck in this kind of trauma path because our bodies and our brains are trained to survive and to react. And so you might have heard the statistic that it takes, I think, 3 positive thoughts, right, to negate a negative thought, to overcome a negative thought. And if you think about that, if you think about, say you go and you do something in your job and you got 9 out of 10 parts of it dead on. You did a great job. You got that one part, didn't quite finish that up that day, and you didn't quite get it done. What are you going to go home and ruminate over, right? You're not going to be thinking about that 90% that you did well, that you rocked out. You're going to be kicking yourself for that 10%. It's just our tendency. It's our tendency to fall into survival mode, to fall into self-reflection mode, to protective mode, to keep ourselves safe and just connected to what we need to improve, because we feel like if we don't see the negative, in fact, our brains are wired to see the negative to keep us safe. That negative is something that may be a danger to us and may not be safe. So we're going to be wired right into it, right? So this book helps us get back into our brains and helps us figure out, how do I hardwire that positive experience? How do I come home at the end of the day and look at that 90% and and then what do I do with the 10%? What you do with the 10% is what we've been talking about, right? With our mindfulness practices, we look at it and we say, okay, it is what it is. Hi, okay. You served your point. I now know what I need to do first thing tomorrow. Thank you. I'll move along. That's what we do with our mindfulness practice. And with our hardwiring our brain, we take in that 90% and we rest in it. We sit in it and we feel what it feels like to have finished that first task and that second task and that third task, right? And we absorb ourselves in it. And then we embed it into ourselves by resting in it, by letting ourselves feel that. And the really cool thing is that I love about this book is that we have literally thousands of positive experiences a day that we don't even really necessarily think about as positive experiences. But if we think about them as positive experiences, and then we bring them into our consciousness, we become mindful of them. This is a form of mindfulness that he's talking about. We become mindful of them, and then we stay in them, and we linger there, right? We linger in that positive. So like right now, just now, I'm doing this video, and my rooster is crowing, right? I love the sound of my rooster crowing. It gets a little annoying after a while, but I love that sound. I love listening to him just kind of put himself out there and just, be all him, whatever. So it's recognizing those little things. So now the exercise I would do is bring that. Now I brought that sound, that crow, into my consciousness, out of the background of what's doing, into the foreground of what we're talking about. I can, sort of rest in, sort of feel, sort of hear the sound, sort of feel what happens inside of me when he crows, and find that place that gets a little squee, when I hear it, and I can really just rest in that and then experience that and hold on to it for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, right? By 15 seconds, it's beginning to really get embedded and become now a path, a beginning to that path, to that new pathway that we're talking about. So because there's thousands of these experiences every day, and I mean, it can literally be anything, like just the relief you get when you get to the bathroom and you're not holding it anymore, right? That little positive experience, that little positive, right? Or if you've had the hiccups and they stop, or, you know, it can be all these stupid little things. It doesn't have to be big things. Or you put your socks on in the morning and you just appreciate warm socks on a chilly day, right? Or you get into bed late at night and that feeling of your body just settling into your mattress or your head on your pillow. So all of these little sensations that we have, and there's thousands of them throughout the day, bringing them to the forefront, resting in them, allowing ourselves to experience them, to sit in them. Hey, Marjorie, to sit in them, to absorb them, to feel them, right? And this is how we begin to literally hardwire our brains for happiness, for positivity, for these new experiences. Yes, socks are like hugs to your feet. That's my husband being a little goofy. So anyway, so I'm super excited about this book because this is the bridge. This is a bridge I've been looking for to help us move from that very negative space, healing off those scripts, peeling them away, and then how do we find that new pathway to living happiness, to being happiness, to falling into the thought pattern habit of good thoughts and positive thoughts instead of negativity and frustration and fear and anger and all those other things. And how can we actually have our body respond, you know, getting off these, oh my goodness. Little piece of joy here from my husband. He's been reading us the Squirrel Girl chapter book, and he's so excited about it. And it brings us all great joy that he's so excited about this book. But that's what we can do. We can focus on those little tiny things and bring us into these habits of forming positive connections, and just keep forging these positive connections. So if you want to hear more about how I've been exploring that, I did write a blog post on that today, marykalbach.com. I should be posting it onto my page. I don't know why it didn't post automatically, but I was talking about mindfully doing my laundry and why I love doing my laundry and everything I love about it, and how when I do laundry, it is doing this, forging these new neural pathways into a positive and contented life and a much more highly energetic life. So I encourage you then to find your own thing, right? To find those little things throughout your day. In fact, if you just want to hit me up in the comments right now where you're watching and just think of what is one little thing that you can start paying attention to, that you can start absorbing and resting in and spending that extra 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds with. Literally, that's all it takes to rewire your brain, is these little 15, 20 second pieces at a time. The more of them you can experience throughout the day, the faster you'll rebuild that neural pathway into contentment and happiness and passion and joy and peace and kindness and all those things that we want to be, but we somehow can't seem to get ourselves there. So once again, that's this book, Hardwiring Happiness. I did write a blog post about, the blog post I wrote today came out of my reading of this book and my thinking about my own places where I do these things. You can find that at marykalbach.com, and you'll have to click down on the menu to find the blog. Emergent Hippie Blogs all on the menu, and you will find that post, Minding My Laundry. I think that's what I titled it. I don't know. Anyway, go visit me there. If you want to be part of the Emergent Hippie Tribe, look for us in Facebook on that group. Look for the group Emergent Hippie Tribe and ask to join the group. We talk about all this stuff inside of there. And if you want to be on my email list, just drop a little 1 in the comments below that, yes, I want to be on your email list. I call it Barefoot in the Woods, and it's just my bi-weekly reflections twice a week that comes out. Just bi-weekly reflections on all this stuff, just a little message to keep you going throughout your week and thinking about this stuff and getting yourself more focused and more positive, and just finding healing in all those places where there's negativity and hurt, finding that healing spot. All right, folks, I love you. I care about you. You are so darn worth it. Thanks for joining me today. Have a fantastic day.